We're live.
Hello, everybody out there in the world.
Hello, hello, hello.
Can you do from the top? Thank you.
Sure thing.
Here come the troops. Here they come to sing with us. We're so excited. Hello, gang. Lots of folks coming in on this beautiful Sunday.
Hello, hello, everybody out there. We are so happy that you are joining us today. We still have people popping into the room. I'm sure that we still have people out there joining us in the streaming world. And we are so excited to have you all here today. It is day 1092 of the Daily Antidote of Song. Thank you, Carolyn, for keeping us on track with that. We don't know where we would be without you, day counters. And we're so happy to be here with all of you on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. It is Sunday, April 2nd. We were all April Fools yesterday. I spent my April Fool's Day at my friend's dog's birthday party that I had to make very certain was not an April Fool's joke when she invited me to it. But no, he is simply just an April Fool, and it was a lot of fun. So I hope that you all had a wonderful April Fool's Day yesterday and are having a wonderful start of your spring today as we keep launching forward into the spring weather. It's time to say hello. So everybody join me in waving hello to all of our friends joining us out there watching from our streams. Hey, everybody, we're so glad that you're watching. So glad that you're here. And a big hello to everybody here in this room. Hello to our fearless leader, Joe Rossi in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Hello to our song leader of the day, Flawn Williams. We're going to hear more from him in just a minute. Hello to Sheila in Florida, Mabel in Massachusetts with one cinnamon bear. Maybe Bob is in there somewhere too. Hello to Laris in the UK. Hoda in BC, Kevin in DC, hey to Carolyn in sunny Boise, Idaho, Susan in Seattle, hello to Joanne, one of our other song leaders, hope you're doing well, hi to Deborah in the car, hi to Don and Leanna in Vermont. Of the curly tops, there are probably a couple more curly tops popping around there somewhere. Hey to Sue, Bob and Christiana, hello, hello. Hi to Susan G in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hi, hey to Ruth in Birmingham in the UK, Bonnie in Boise, Idaho, Luda and Mark in Victoria, BC. Hearts to you guys. Hey to Steve and Michelle in Silver Spring, Maryland, Annette in California, Gary, hello. Hi to Amanda and Miles in Michigan, Jane in Texas, Deli, hi. Hello to Kat in Vermont, Sarah in Texas. There are those curly tops I was talking about, also in Vermont, probably even in the same house as Mom and Pop Curly Top. Hey to Julie in Ontario, Canada. Hey to Bob. Hello to Carol, hello to Linda in Orcas Island, and all of our friends joining us off camera. Hello to Nancy and Bronwyn, Victoria. Hey to Karen in Oregon. Other Victoria, oh my gosh, everybody's bouncing around. Hey, hello to Sandy in Western North Carolina, to Lynn, hello, to Penny and Robin, Victoria, to Jessica in Tallahassee, Carol J in Connecticut, and Fred in Silver Spring. Hello, everybody. And I see one of our other fearless leaders, Busy Graham of Carpe Diem Arts, popping into the room right now. Wonderful to have her. Wonderful to have you all. Let's all take a deep breath. My goodness, it's good to be here. It's good to be here with all of you. And I am delighted to not introduce for the first time, but introduce for today, a dear old friend and colleague of mine from the circles that I run in artistically. Everybody, give it up for Flawn Williams. Now, I know Flawn from our revels, our Washington Rebels, I don't know, livelihoods, our Washington Rebels circles. I remember meeting Flawn back in, I guess it was probably 2012, the first Rebels show that I was involved in. And the thing that I remember most about Flawn was the one solo that he had at the very top of Act 2 of the show where he sang, "Past 3 o'clock on a cold frosty morning, past 3 o'clock, good morrow, masters all." So that was my introduction to Flawn, and now I will let you give your own introduction to everybody here who may or may not know you. How you doing?
It's great to catch up with you. Yes, my time with Washington Revels started in 2000, and I've done a number of the
My
shows
goodness.
since then. So you and I have shared the stage on a number of them. But in addition to that, I've been heavily involved over the years in the Folklore Society of Greater Washington in the DC area. And also, for a large number of years, I've been involved with a group out in West Virginia called the Augusta Heritage Center, which is a function of a small college out there called Davis and Elkins College in Elkins, West Virginia. So it's a little town of about 15,000 people that sits at about elevation 2,000 with higher hills around it. And so it's a grand place to be in the summers. And since
Sounds like a
1982,
nice
in
place
some
to be
way,
in the
shape, or
summers.
form, I've been there working with them. Uh, and I was out there originally doing sound for their concerts and things like that. But I was involved in late night singing jams and stuff like that. At
Oh,
one point, they created a Vocal Week program in the mid 80s. And starting in the late 90s, I took over the role of coordinating and choosing other teachers for that. So I've been doing that for about 25 years now.
that sounds amazing. That
It's going
sounds
to it's
absolutely
a great
wonderful.
chance to, particularly for people whose musical tastes are eclectic. I am intentionally eclectic about covering everything from ancient ballads to uh, songwriting groups writing songs on the spot, and lots of other dimensions that things can go eclectic. So I like
Yeah,
casting a wide
absolutely.
net. This coming July, among the people who will be teaching for us will be someone who's no stranger to antidote circles. Dr. Kathy Bullock will be out there, and alumni of ours that are also alumni of Antidote include Issei Barnwell and several other people. But
You've
other people who
so
are going
many
to be
wonderful
teaching,
connections through
yeah,
that.
yeah. So the program this year starts on Sunday evening, the 16th of July, and runs through Friday, the 21st of July. And in addition to Dr. Kathy Bullock, we've got Robin and Linda Williams. Anyone who listened to Prairie Home Companion or anything like that will remember them, but they're still out there and active, and they are celebrating 50 years as a performing duo this
Wow.
year. Abigail Washburn is going to be there doing everything from old time and bluegrass to Chinese. She's probably the only bluegrass musician who's done a TED talk on Chinese American relations and things like that. Ann Downey will be down from Canada, one third of the wonderful vocal trio Finest Kind will be there. An Irish singer, originally from Dublin, who's now based in Chicago, named Pat Broaders, will be there, singer and instrumentalist. We've done over the years a number of Eastern European singing styles, which are so wonderful to the ears. So we've done Ukrainian and Balkan, among other things like that. This year, given the way the world is going, we felt it was especially apt to go back and revisit Ukrainian songs. So we've
Yeah.
got a native Ukrainian named Irina Voloshina, who's now based in Indiana, coming to do Ukrainian songs. We're going to cover ballads and songs of Western North Carolina with Susie Gott, who's the daughter of Back to the Landers from way back when in the area north of Asheville. We've got Annalie Kane coming in from Chicago, who's great with classic country honky tonk styles on up through modern country songs. And Penny Anderson, who's going to be leading our morning warm ups, who can do everything from ballads to shape note songs. And she continues to write new shape note songs. So we'll
My
keep an eye on
goodness.
that.
Well, I cannot think of a better place for daily antidoters to go and check out. So everybody, please, you really, really ought to go and learn a little bit more about Augusta arts and culture. The links are in the chat. You should go learn everything you can, because even if you are in no position to actually attend any of these workshops, camps, and weeks, Gosh, just hearing about it, just learning about it is really amazing. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And like so many other programs, when the pandemic hit almost three plus years ago,
Is that not
we took the programs
absolutely
online. So we
mind
had
blowing?
virtual online for 20 and 21. Um, Last year, we resumed in-person stuff for the summertime, but we've also continued to program online things. So
Yeah.
I lead a couple of online singing sessions a month, and the organization is doing everything from foodways and storytelling to various other kinds of music and cultural stuff online as well.
And that is truly one of the I mm, I don't love when people say that everything happens for a reason. I think everybody has to have their own, whatever gets you through and your own viewpoints on how you contextualize things, but I think it can be really painful to say that everything happens for a reason, but something I do really firmly believe is that something good comes from everything bad. And one thing that has come from the pandemic that has brought us so much pain, so much hurt, so much misfortune and terrible, terrible, destruction and death and inequality has been the fact that for so many people who have always had to rely on things like online programming and virtual and not in person stuff, we were really ignoring that. We were ignoring that so much. And the pandemic really did force us to sit down and take a look at the connections that we could be making that we were ignoring. And now that we've done that, I think in a way we'll never go back. Not that if we'll never go back to doing things in person, of course we will, and of course we are. But the fact that we can build such strong online communities, such strong online workshops, online programs, that's something that I think was really unfathomable, especially within kind of an older, more traditional and old fashioned scene like the folk music scene just a few years ago.
Right. And we were
Something
lucky
like
that,
this never
yeah,
would have existed.
right. Some of these kinds of online connections existed
Mhm.
in much rougher form 3 years ago, but
Yeah,
they've stepped up to the plate. They've improved the quality and the ease of use of these things. So even as we return to in-person programming at Augusta and other things like that, we're not
absolutely.
going to let go of these connections because we found that uh, me speaking
They're
personally,
important.
it's been a real good ongoing connection for me, and the fact that I can continue to link to a circle of singers that I know and welcome new people in from literally all over the world
Absolutely.
has been something that I'm not going to let go of anytime soon.
Absolutely not. And speaking of, let's hear the song. What song are you going to share with us today?
Well, this is a song called The Singing Crew, and we'll get the lyrics in the chat there. Uh, and this is something I originally put together 10 years ago for as kind of a welcoming in song for the opening orientation of Vocal Week at Augusta. And I've used it in other settings as well because it's uh, simple enough that I can construct new verses for every outing of the song. And I'm hoping that you're going to pick it up enough to sing along on the choruses. We'll do a total of 5 choruses and 4 verses in between. So I'm going to teach you the chorus for starters.
Take it
And
away.
all right. So I'm going to play a little bit of a bass and finger snaps backing track to give you an introduction to it. And I'm going to sing my way through the chorus, and you can see about picking it up. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. So actually, that first part, the chorus, there's a call and a response built into this chorus. So we've got so glad we made, so glad we made it. So here's the way that goes. I'm going to give you the call and response version of the chorus. So glad we made it, so glad we made it, so glad we made it, so glad we made it to be a part of the singing crew. So that's how that works. Now you'll notice that there's echoes in there for the first two lines. So glad we made it. And then the lead group sings, and by the way, you get to choose which group you're in, and you get to choose if you want to make a harmony for this. If you want to scat all over this, since you're muted from home, you can do whatever, but we're trying to present something here for you to sing along with. But the lead group does the same line 3 times in a row. The echo group does that for 2 of the lines and then has a shorter line, just a little, I'm so glad. And then the 2 parts come together for the last line of the chorus. So let's do that one more time. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. I think you've got that. So let's get you into the verses here. The melody is pretty much the same as the chorus, so that'll make it easier to get into. We're going to start with a chorus and then go into the verses and all the way on. When we get to the final chorus, after the 4th verse, way down at the bottom there, I'm going to give you probably a hand signal that will hold to be a part, and I'll give you a cue as to when to cut off. Okay? So here
We'll
comes
follow
the whole
your lead.
Okay, here comes the whole song, starting with the chorus. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. It's April the 2nd. It's taken more than we reckoned, but when hope for harmony beckoned, we came together as a singing crew. And I'm so, so glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad we made it to be a part of the singing crew. We're antidoting. We're getting out and we're voting. We'll keep right on promoting peace and justice with the singing crew. And I'm so, so glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. We're keeping our distance and stoking up our resistance. Music feeds our persistence and gives us power as a singing crew. And I'm so glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. So don't be affrighted, because you've been invited. And we're all delighted that you're a part of the singing crew. And I'm so glad we made it. So glad, I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew.
Okay, that's ridiculously fun.
That's the idea.
Oh my gosh. How could you not be in a good mood after that? That is so amazing. And the fact that you can just kind of tweak it and tailor it to exactly what you need it to be, that is exactly perfect. That is exactly perfect.
It's my own little personal archive. I have
I
versions
love it.
saved from about 10 years worth across the
Oh my gosh.
history of it.
imagine just having them on loop. Like it starts with the first ever version and you just play every single one straight through. The longest and most fun song of all time. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was wonderful. I was having so much fun that I have to like stop and gather my thoughts about what we're actually talking about, because we have lots to talk about. We've talked about the Augusta Arts and Culture program a little bit. Let's talk about NPR just a bit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Working backwards, the fact that I was
Mm-hmm.
working for NPR, I got sent out to West Virginia to do a feature story for All Things Considered on the Augusta Heritage Center's
Love that
programs
show.
back then in
Love that show.
1981. And so that's how I got hooked up with Augusta in the first place. But I started working for NPR in 1978 and was with them in various capacities for 30 years before I retired from them. And mostly as a recording engineer. I think my last official title with them was acting senior producer for their World of Opera program. So a lot of varied experiences. But over the years, I got to work on a number of pretty much every program that NPR was doing at the time. All Things Considered, Morning Edition, various other daily news shows. Their music programs. What drew me to NPR in the first place was that they used to do a program called Folk Festival USA, and so that was why I applied for a job with them, and they hired me, and then 6 months later they canceled that series. But that was the way it worked. I got sent to like 25 countries around the world as a recording engineer for documentary and music projects for them. Got to put together a package to do a broadcast when Jazz at Lincoln Center debuted their new building by Central Park in New York, where they were running 3 simultaneous stages, and we had to figure out how to choose what we were going to play at any given
You want
moment
to
from
know
that.
what? I walk past that one, the one
Yeah,
that's next to Central Park,
yeah,
every single day on my way to work. I
yeah.
literally get off that subway station and
Well,
walk right
it's
past
an
that building on my
amazing
way to work.
space, and we helped inaugurate it, and so that was one of my technical tasks for them.
Yeah.
I also, just from being in on the staff work, when All Things Considered wanted to do a parody song or something like that, I was often among the people that got roped into either writing the song or helping to voice it or something like that. When there was a scandal with Russians putting material on people's doorknobs to be able to do testing as part of their espionage against Americans in Moscow in the early 80s. So I did a parody of Stardust for that. And
Okay, that's pretty funny.
this actually connects to my old Revels things too, because what you might remember from Revels was the parody songs that I did for the cast parties after
I sure
the
do.
show
I
went through.
remember those very
Yeah.
well.
But
I remember even trying my own hand at them when I was a teenager in Revels of doing like the teen songs.
But one of the ones with the longest staying power, I saw Cricket's name pop up here, so somewhere on the screen, and so she remembers this one, I know. But for those of you who don't live around Maryland, Maryland has a state song, or had until very recently, an official state song that, if you might have thought that Maryland was on the side of the North in the Civil War, but there was
No,
significant,
no,
yes, there was
no.
significant Southern sympathies here. And
Yes.
so in the, not in the Civil War time, but in the 1930s, this the Maryland state song was crafted, and it contains all kinds of references like "Huzzah, she spurns the northern scum," and
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
it's pretty bad. And so over the years, various people have moved to try and get rid of that, at least get rid of its official status, and replace it with something better. And one of those times was in the early 80s, and NPR was covering that at the time. And one of the producers at NPR decided, well, what we really ought to do is come up with a version of the state song that won't offend anybody. And so Larry Massett and Art Silverman came up with this thing of Maryland. By the way, the Maryland state song is sung to the tune of O Tannenbaum, O Christmas Tree. So you already know the music to it, but it's they came up with something like, we've got some hills, we've got some trees, we sing in 4-part harmonies. I had a dog, his name was Jack. I threw a stick, he brought it back. And we all live in Baltimore, and that's what Maryland is for, et cetera, et cetera. So we got together a group of singing people from the staff of All Things Considered and recorded that, put it on the air, and it got more response than most things that were put on the air that week. So, and I still meet people who remember that song. Our song before was full of gore, but we heard the Union won the war. We're sorry if it made you mad. It was the only song we had. Oh Maryland, oh Maryland, oh Maryland, oh Maryland. So I'm pleased to report that finally, just in the last year or two, that song has been toppled like statues
Excellent.
from its official perch.
And it was officially replaced with the song that you just sang us just now?
No such luck. No such
Darn
luck.
it.
No. In fact, I don't know if they've replaced it with anything officially off the top of my head.
I
But
wonder.
yeah, but
Okay, well, in our hearts, we all know what the Maryland state song really is. I'll have to ask my family that's in Maryland and see if they know what the state song currently is. And if not, I'm just going to tell them it's this one. See if maybe I can just spread a little.
I'll come back some other day. I know that Antidote is going to keep on going, but I'll bring the whole song with me the next time.
Excellent. Oh, please do. That would be so much fun. That would be awesome. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in particular that I want to chat about. I think we wanted to talk briefly about the fact that we are currently at the beginning of April, but we are barreling towards summer. And one thing that happens in the summer that is so important and that has continued to become even more and more important in terms of our programming is that there is going to be a wonderful Juneteenth celebration week. It is a whole week, yes, Joe? A whole week. And that is a partnership between Washington Revels, Carpe Diem Arts, and Glen Echo State Park. So if you are in the DMV in the Maryland area, if that is your state song, then there's going to be some really wonderful things. We have some amazing stuff lined up that I'm so excited about. And I actually only found out that this was a Carpe Diem Arts partnership literally this morning when I came into the room. I've been talking about it in board meetings with Revels people for weeks and weeks and months. And then I came in and Joe said, oh, the partnership week between Carpe Diem and Washington Revels and Glen Echo. And I was like, wait a second. I didn't even know it was a Carpe Diem thing as well. So you're definitely going to be seeing a lot of familiar faces with that. We have so many wonderful artists who are going to be participating, and we really just keep trying to make our Juneteenth weeks and months as big, bold, and beautiful as they can be, because when they are able to be that, they are so wonderful. Anything to add about that, Flawn, from your
Just
end?
that I'll be looking for the listings and hoping to catch as much of it as I can.
Absolutely. Let's see, is there anything that we missed? Joe, Flawn, anything else to add before we sing again?
Let's just head back into
Let's
the
sing
singing
it
crew
again.
here.
Back into the singing crew. Let's take it home. Singing
Alrighty.
crew.
So you've got the lyrics and you've now heard your way through the whole song, so you're old pros at this. Have some fun with it. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad we made it to be the heart of the singing crew. It's April the 2nd. It's taken more than we reckoned, but when hope for harmony beckoned, we came together as a singing crew. And I'm so glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad we made it to be a part of the singing crew. We're antidoting. We're getting out and we're voting, and we'll keep right on promoting peace and justice with the singing crew. And I'm so, so glad we made it. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. We're keeping our distance and stoking up our resistance. Music feeds our persistence and gives us power as a singing crew. And I'm so glad we made, so glad we made, so glad we made, so glad we made, so glad. I'm so glad to be a part of the singing crew. So don't be affrighted because you've been invited. We're all delighted that you're a part of the singing crew. And we're so glad you made it. So glad you made it. So glad, we're all so glad to be a part of the singing crew.
My gosh, that's just the perfect song for here, the perfect song for today. Just wonderful. Flawn, thank you so much. That was the perfect way to end this week and launch us into next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Give it up. Give a big round of applause for Flawn Williams, sound technician extraordinaire, podcast, NPR, state songwriting, Augusta Arts and Culture. You do so much, and it was really great to get to chat about all of that because you live a cool life. You do some cool stuff, and we're so glad that you were able to come in and share it with us. We feel really lucky.
Happy to be
All right,
here.
everybody, that was such a wonderful song, such a wonderful day, and we can't wait to see you again tomorrow. And I mean, I can't really say it better. We're so glad you made it. We're so glad you made it to be a part of our singing crew, our Daily Antidote singing crew. And so I think that means it's time to say goodbye. Everybody, wave a huge, huge goodbye to all of our friends watching out there. We love you. Feel free to join us in the Zoom room anytime, but also feel free to keep on watching where you're watching. We love you. And we're so glad that all of you made it. Flawn, so glad you made it. Thank you for being here and sharing this wonderful day and this wonderful song with us. Goodbye, and thank you to Joe in Tacoma Park. Thank you for the tech, and thank you just for being you. We love you. All right. Thank you, and goodbye to Sheila in Florida, Bob and Mabel, and both Cinnamon Bears in Massachusetts, Laris in the UK, Kevin in DC with your beautiful flute. Bye to Carolyn in sunny Boise, Idaho, Susan in Seattle, Don and Liana in Vermont, Mom and Pop, Curly Top, Bob and Christiana, thank you and goodbye to Susan G in Cincinnati, Ohio, Ruth in Birmingham in the UK, Bonnie in Boise, Idaho, thanks and goodbye to Steve and Michelle in Silver Spring, Maryland. Hey, how about that state song, yeah? Thanks and goodbye to Annette in California, Kat in Vermont, Curly Tops, also in Vermont. Oh, look at you, Vermont folks sticking together. Thanks and goodbye to Carol, to Linda in Orcas Island, lovely flowers. Thanks and goodbye to Martha, Diane, Fred in Silver Spring, another Marylander. Goodbye to Becky. Bye to Amanda and Miles in Michigan. Julie in Ontario, Canada. Bye to Sue. Bye to Jane in Texas. Goodbye to Deli. Sarah in Texas. Our Texas folks sticking together as well. Goodbye to Bob. Goodbye to Busy Graham of Carpe Diem Arts. Thanks for being here. Bye to Gary. Goodbye to Nancy. Sandy in Western North Carolina. Lynn. Penny and Ralph in Victoria, Carol J in Connecticut, Cricket, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye to Storm in Massachusetts, Susan in Tacoma Park, Maryland. And goodbye to Arlene in Berkeley, California. And again, a big goodbye to everybody else joining us out there wherever you are. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again.